living for the weekend, guys, is basically a scam. You really got to think about it. You work for 5 days straight just to get to Friday, to where Friday night you could go out, you could enjoy, you could relax, do what you want for Saturday. And Saturday is really the only full day that you have where you could do whatever you want from morning all the way to night and even sleep into the next day. And then when Sunday comes around, you kind of have to start getting ready for Monday again. You go out Friday, you go out Saturday, let's say you go out to the club, you go out drinking, you go out and you go out with some friends, and maybe you spend the money that you made that week, and Sunday comes around and you can't really do anything Sunday night because you have work in the morning. And then the cycle repeats itself. And you really have to think, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're working just to get to Friday night. Excuse the loud dog. I don't know if you could hear the dog. I live in basically a jungle right now. Dog, the birds, but oh my god. What's going on, man? White monster, man. But you have to understand that the cycle is not normal. Working 5 days a week just to get to Saturday and Sunday is not normal. The weekend is not long. It's not long enough. And I'm sitting here as a trader. I'll trade from Sunday night to Friday, more like Friday morning or Thursday night. But, Friday night, Saturday, markets are closed. Sunday night markets are opening. And I'm like, wow, like that's not much time. It's not much time at all. When the markets open is the same time that people are starting to go back to their 9 to 5s. So that's kind of how the correlation works for me. I used to work a 9 to 5 though. I used to work as a busboy in Connecticut. I used to work as a cashier in Connecticut. I used to work raking a beach in Connecticut. Beach in Connecticut. Like where? It was like a pond beach or a lake beach. But I know exactly how it is, and I remember working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Friday night I would go out to dinner with my girlfriend at the time, or I would go out with my boys, or I would go to the gym and I would want to get, some good food. And I'm like, yo, I just spent a lot of the money that I just made. And then Saturday, okay, now you have Saturday, you spend money again. And then you have bills, you have rent, you have all these different things that are happening, and it's like, I remember never being able to pass the $1,000 threshold. I think the statistic is 90% of Americans, I don't know if it's 90%, but they don't have $1,000 in their bank account, right? Constantly, consistently. They don't have $1,000 to where they could just, they could pull out $1,000 cash if they want, consistently. And that's a sad thing, and I don't blame the people who are working the 9 to 5. I'm like, yo, why don't you have more than $1,000? I don't blame them, because I remember trying to make more than 1,000 and trying to save more than $1,000, and I couldn't save more than $1,000. Like, it was terrible. I remember that $800, and I would get to like 1,050, 1,100, and then I would spend it. Because you would get paid every 2 weeks. Some people get paid every week in their job. I'm pretty sure the standard is every 2 weeks. And I remember, I have to live off my 1,000 in 2 weeks. And I would really budget. I would really budget. And, I'd go up to 1,100, and then I would go back to like 7, 6, 500, or something of that nature. I don't even remember. But I just know that I could not get past 1,000. Every time I got paid, I would spend it. Every time I got paid, I would spend it. And yeah, guys, it's just you have to start expanding your mind, and you have to start being open-minded to other opportunities and other ways to make money. Because at the end of the day, the Rockefellers created the school system to make us into workers, right? Not money makers, right? They wanted to make us into employees, not entrepreneurs. That's what the school system is meant for us to be formed into, right? Middle school, high school, even into college, you're not meant to become an entrepreneur. I know there's some new like colleges going around that like you could become like a business owner or stuff of that nature, but really at the end of the day, 90% of people are not going to be able to even get through it, and they're going to be in massive debt, right? So I believe that we should be taught in at least high school. Okay, middle school, I get the basics. History, you gotta learn history, writing, English, math, science. I kind of get that. But when you're going into high school, it really should be about finances. It should be about credit score. It should be about taxes. It should be about mindset. It should be about stuff like that. How to talk to people. It should be about real world skills. Because at the end of the day, if you're just thrown into the world and all you know is basic like history, math, science, and you go and get your degree, and let's say you can't find a job because 65% of people who do graduate with their degree can't find a high-paying job, right? You're just gonna be stuck. That's the goal for them. They're trying to get you into the rat race. They're trying to get you stuck in the rat race to where you can't, go and strive in life. It's always gonna be a paycheck to paycheck thing. I always wondered why my parents never really had big amount of money because they were working 9 to 5s, right? And now, I mean, I understand why, and I don't blame them, right? Because at the end of the day, we're not taught this stuff most of the time, right? Most of the time, we're not taught this stuff. I heard this quote. I think my brother posted this. Let me pull it up. My brother posted this, like, I don't know if it's still on his story, but it was actually so fire. I can find it. I can recite this off the top of my head. The 1% control the world. The 4% are puppets, right? That are controlled by the 1%. So they're puppets. They just, they try to make sure that, you think everything is fine, right? So that's 5%. 90% have no idea what's going on. They're stuck in the rat race, right? And 5%, the last 5% are people like us, right? Maybe like you watching this, like me, like people in our community that know what's going on. They're awake. They're aware of the system being broken, and they're trying to not only escape it, but they're trying to wake up the other 90%, right? Yeah, I believe that's the quote. If I can find it. Here we go. 1% control the world. 4% are their puppets. Their puppets are the 1% that control the world. 90% are asleep, and 5% know and are trying to wake up the other 90%. And the 1% use the 4% to prevent the 5% from waking up the other 90%. What does this mean, guys? It means that there's a small percentage of people that control everything in the world, right? And then there's also a small percentage of people like us, right? Like you watching this, that are trying to break out, and they know the system is broken and society is messed up, and they're trying to actually wake up the other 90% because they know that 99% of people or 95% of people could, on the same page will overpower that 5% that have everything controlled, because there's power in numbers. So that's kind of like the quote right there. I kind of added a little spin off of it myself on the end, but yeah, guys. So with that being said, I mean, it's just so simple. Like, you just really have to think outside the box, right? We weren't taught about common sense. We weren't taught about thinking for yourself and questioning things. Everything people see online, they automatically believe. I'm like, bro, if you don't actually see it happening, it's not. There's a probability that they're lying, right? You not necessarily all the time, but you have to be able to have critical thinking, guys, and question the norm, and question why are things the way they are. Why do they want us to do things this way? Why do they want us to stay in a 9 to 5? Why do they want us to put all our money into a Roth IRA, into a 401k? Why do they want us to save and not invest? Why do they want us to think crypto isn't legit? Why do they want us to think that trading doesn't work? Why do they want us to think these things? right? Why do they want us to stay in the matrix, in this slavery mindset, right? So just keep that in mind, guys. That's really my TED Talk for the day. It's Sunday. It's the Lord's Day, guys. So I'll catch you guys later. Hope you guys got some value from it. Subscribe, like, comment, turn notifications on because I'm going to be posting on here a lot more. Let's get it.